When people think about moving to Vernon, they often imagine relocating from somewhere else in Canada, the US, or whatever. But if you're moving from halfway around the world, what's that like? So today I'm joined with Marcello Sormani here at Remax Vernon Salt Fowler. And Marcello grew up in Italy before making the move to Canada and eventually calling Vernon home. So today we're going to talk about what it was like leaving one of the world's most beautiful countries to build a new life here in the North Okanagan. We'll compare the lifestyle, the culture, the people, the real estate, and we'll find out what surprised Marcello most after making the move. Marcello, thanks so much for joining me. Tell me, why did you leave Italy? Everybody wants to move to Italy, yet you moved to Vernon. Tell me why.
It's a pleasure being with you here, with you, Lisa. And Italy is a fantastic country. I met my wife in North America, in Vancouver, and one of the reasons that pushed me to move on the other side of the world is to give a better opportunity to my family and to my wife to express her independence and the job opportunity and the future of my daughter. South Europe is getting particularly challenging, very crowded, and we thought that North America was a better opportunity for the family.
Gotcha. Okay, so that explains why coming to North America, I get that. Now, why Vernon specifically?
Yes, so the first time I came in the Okanagan was 13 years ago. And I fell in love with Peachland and with South Okanagan. And then I discovered slowly all the Okanagan area till the north, where we are in Vernon. And we loved the area. Looks a lot like Italy. Remember me, Tuscany with lake. The lake was a beautiful gem. Multiple lakes are beautiful gems. And we loved the season, the temperature, and the lifestyle of the Okanagan.
Right, so you were in Kelowna for a little while before you came to Vernon.
Yes.
So what really struck you? What was your first impression on Vernon?
The impression was great. We're way wider, multiple lakes, more nature, and out of the crowdedness of the city, because Kelowna is growing and there is way more traffic. We were looking for a quiet and beautiful place to grow our family. And Vernon obviously stood out like a pearl in the middle of these lakes.
Right. No, makes sense. Makes sense. We talk about that all the time, how beautiful Vernon is, and it's just like being on vacation every day. Not that I would think being in Italy every day would also be like that, but it's different, isn't it, when you live there versus visiting there?
Absolutely.
When you moved here, what surprised you?
What surprised me the most has been the possibility to have the city and the multiple activities around the city without dealing with too much traffic and too much stress that usually you will have when you live in the big cities. So the possibility to move around the city and surroundings with fairly flexibility and accessibility.
Right, so we were talking earlier about the traffic, and you were comparing about how everything in Vernon is like 5, 10, maybe 50
Maybe, when it's busy.
When it's busy, if there's rush hour. Exactly. And yet you were talking about Kelowna,
Yes.
It's much more difficult to get.
Or Vancouver, or even Italy. Italy is crazy when you live in Milan or in Rome. Sometimes you take an hour just to enter in the city.
Rome is tough. Rome is tough to get around. So many humans. Beautiful.
Many motorbikes. It's crazy driving in Rome. You don't want to drive in Rome. Even Schumacher doesn't want to drive in Rome. It's crazy.
I can see that. Okay, so let's talk about the lifestyles. Like I said before, everybody dreams of living the Italian lifestyle. You go for your espresso and your croissant. I don't know, that's French. But let's compare.
Your cappuccino and my focaccia.
Yes, all those Italian words that you can eat. So compare the lifestyle between where you were in Italy. Where were you in Italy?
I studied in Milan, then I lived on Como Lake, so close to the Swiss border. Very busy, very financial part of Italy. So the rhythm was quite stressful, long hours in the office from 8 to 8 sometimes. So I really love the Canadian way of work hard, but also enjoying the free times, because most of the time, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, people go home and enjoy time with the family. In Italy, this aspect is way more challenging, like is way more busy and way more overcrowded.
Unless you're a realtor.
Exactly.
Unless you're a realtor in the Okanagan.
Yes.
No going home at 6.
No.
Okay, yes.
No weekend for you, by the way.
No weekend for you.
We're always on duty.
That's right. So the lifestyle, actually, that's interesting because my perception would be the opposite. My perception would be that it's more laid back in Italy, but in fact, actually, it's very business oriented, actually.
And we have dinner way later because we stay longer in the office. So usually we eat at 8 o'clock in the night because most of the office closed later because probably is effect of the climate or the latitude of the country. We have more hours of sun, and so we use the day in a different timing than North America.
Interesting. I always wondered that. I could never figure out why everybody ate so late and then ate so much. How many courses, Marcello?
So much because the food is too good.
That's
the
right.
problem. The problem is not. The problem is that you cannot resist. That's the real problem of Italy.
Okay.
Anytime you go there, you cannot stop trying and going to little mamas and papas restaurants to have a beautiful gourmet experience or culinary experience.
So you had to move to Canada to lose weight.
Technically, but I'm not doing this properly. Probably I had to run more.
So let's talk real estate. Let's talk real estate. I understand that real estate is very, very different. I know the real estate process is very, very different between here and Europe, but let's talk prices.
Sure.
How does the real estate look in Italy, where you were from, particularly, or wherever, versus here in Vernon?
On average, our GDP is lower, so on average, the houses in Italy are way cheaper, and most of the time built with different materials. Because historically, we always build houses with stone and not with wood. Probably the climate of North America, a little bit more humid, with a big excursion in temperature, forced North American to build with different materials. But what shocked me the most was the price of the single home in general in Canada, and the size of the kitchens. You guys love to have these huge kitchens.
Of course.
And these beautiful big islands. And sometimes I joke with my friends that Canadians have way too bigger kitchen and they can use the space in a better way.
Way too big a kitchens for how much we cook? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. use it for a gym, not for a kitchen.
You probably need a bigger kitchen.
Yes, I love cooking. So some of the best food is absolutely and definitely in my kitchen.
What do you miss most about Italy?
The food. Probably the food is that I miss the most. The opportunities to have so many different experiences and so fantastic combining activities with food and wine. So you can hike and reach a little chalet on the Alps, and then a fantastic dinner. And so you can combine lifestyle with food. In Canada, we're improving. The Okanagan actually is getting more interesting, seen even in the food industry. With all the wineries that we have, we are evolving and probably we're getting there.
Right. You know, it's interesting that you say that about the food. I remember one of Gord's good friends, he's an Italian fellow, and he came over to our house and he was going to cook dinner for us. And he looked around and he said, "Lisa, you've got all the best cookware and it's all brand new." I said, "Luigi, I've had that for 20 years. He says, "Well, obviously you never use it." And he was so right. It's so funny because I guess that's
what I was saying.
Yeah.
You guys use most of the time microwave. Get a smaller kitchen and use the space better.
What don't you miss about Italy?
I don't miss the overpopulation, the challenging of moving from one city to another, the struggle economically speaking. In Italy, it's very challenging to grow a family with a single income is almost impossible. We need multiple incomes.
Interesting. Now going back, talking about the real estate there for a moment, you had told me before that the prices there have been flat for like 20 years. Why is that?
Yes. That's a great question. I think because the salary in Italy has been blocked for long times. Usually if you don't have an improving income of the family are not available to spend more money to buy products. So like we know, you can price your house as much as you want, but if the market doesn't accept the price, you cannot sell it. So ideally, the problem has been that the richness is not growing. Obviously, there are exceptions. If you have a house in downtown Milan, if you have buildings in Venice, if you have there are some specific area in which the value continue to grow. But for the average family in the average city in Italy, the value of the real estate is not growing. Not like in Canada, in which a lot of people for decades built family wealth through real estate.
Right. That's so interesting to me that there's so much more opportunity here, real estate-wise.
Absolutely.
When you're talking to your Italian friends, people that you know, what type of people do you think would thrive here in the Okanagan versus, say, being in Italy?
Surely you have to be a person that loves slow pace, enjoy the lake in the summer, go to ski in the winter, love camping, love hiking. If you want a full immersion with nature, Canada is your paradise.
Right. So if you could make this move again today, would you for sure come to Vernon?
Absolutely. I love Okanagan, I love Vernon. I love the possibility, like I said, to go swim in the summer after work and go skiing in 15 minutes from downtown. I think it's a perfect combination of nature, business, and opportunity to socialize with people from all around the world.
Nice. Makes sense. Now, I'm just going to do some rapid fire words here, and you can tell me which is better, Italy or the Okanagan.
Perfect.
Better food.
Italy.
Obviously.
I'm sorry.
We all know that. We all know that. That
I'm
was
sorry.
That was almost like a trick
There are
question.
some pearl restaurants. You can have a fantastic pizza in the Okanagan in Oyama, close to Vernon, and
Yes.
you feel a little bit in Italy.
Yes. Love Panavino.
Is Panamino, exactly.
Better scenery.
Kalamaka Lake, Okanagan. Beautiful.
Better weather.
Spring in Canada and autumn in Italy.
Friendlier people.
It really depends. I mean, Canadian overall are in general very friendly. South Italian are noisier, but friendly too.
Yes, I would say that would be true, but they're friendly noisy.
Absolutely.
Better outdoor lifestyle.
Again, if you love skiing in the winter, having paddleboarding, biking, mountain biking, dirt biking, Canada is your paradise, just outside of the back door.
Better place to raise a family.
Definitely Okanagan.
Better value in real estate. That's a tough one, isn't
That's
it?
a
Well, I don't know. Is it? I think probably.
There are-
I'm thinking of going to Italy. Prices haven't risen in 20 years. I should
Yes,
buy
it's
three.
really, you know what's the best. You know, you can buy a house with us and then contact us and we find you a nice house to buy even in Italy.
Yes, that's right. Better quality of life.
Better quality of life, again, depends on what you're looking in your life, but I think for raising a family and for the multiple reasons like the pace of lifestyle, the Okanagan is better. Way less overpopulated, you're close to an international airport, you're close to everything, but in a beautiful garden across the North America. So it's probably here.
Espresso, Italy or Marcello's Kitchen?
Lisa, come on, Marcello's Kitchen.
I already know that. So Marcello, when your friends and family back in Italy ask you why you moved to Vernon, what do you tell them?
The full immersion with the nature and the way you can grow a family here is pretty unique in all the parts of the world that I travel with. This will be the best place for me.
Nice. Marcello, thank you so much for being here with us today and talking about the differences in the different countries. I found it super intriguing. And I think, we really forget how different it is here in Vernon and how special it is, even compared to beautiful places in the world with all the history and the culture and the beautiful food and we think of Tuscany and the wine and lasagna and whatever, and yet here, you're here to tell us that when you compare the two, you would still choose Vernon. I think that's awesome.
Thank you, Lisa. It was a pleasure talking with you about all these beautiful opportunities.
Awesome.